here with Violet Hill, singer, songwriter, artist.
Yes, all those things.
Very nice to meet you. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you for the mushroom coffee.
Absolutely. Four Sigmatic, if you want to pay for the sponsorship.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. We tried that with another coffee place. They ignored us.
Four Sigmatic is actually sponsoring everybody right now, so I think you can get them.
I should call them.
You should.
I'm going to come for that.
Cool.
Thank you for bringing your guitar. I'm also excited about that.
Yeah, I was a little bit nervous because I woke up this morning and I was just feeling terrible. I just felt it in my throat, and I'm like, I have to play today. So I don't know. We'll see how that goes. Bear with me.
Got it. Do you have a gig too tonight, or just you meant just here?
No, I don't have a gig tonight. I am planning on going to an open mic tonight. I'm pretty excited with the open mic scene in Toronto, so I'm planning on doing that later.
Where's that?
There's an open mic at the Painted Lady. It's a venue in the West End. I've never been there before, but that venue is known for having a really cool scene, and just a lot of really talented young musicians go there. So I'm gonna go give it a try.
Sweet. What kind of music do you make?
Solid question. For a long time, I really identified myself as a folk artist, which is an easy generalization because I'm a girl and I'm an acoustic guitar and it's all very lovely and pretty, but I stopped wanting to be identified that way because I discovered it wasn't 100% accurate. So I'd say I'm kind of like a blues artist with pop influences. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You know, I really like to blend genres. So it's a little bit of blues, a little bit of R&B, all with the acoustic guitar as the foundation of it.
Got it. And how'd you get into it all? When you started, when you were a kid?
Yeah, I mean, when I was little, I took piano lessons because I think that's kind of a classic thing that all parents try to force their children to do. Did you take piano lessons?
I didn't. No, my parents made me play baseball, but Jenny and all her sisters had to
play piano. Yeah. So I was forced to play piano. I hated it very passionately, but the music store where I took lessons had all these beautiful guitars on the walls, and so I would always ask one of the older staff members to take a guitar down for me so that I could play with it. I was just fascinated with guitars, and eventually I was able to persuade my parents to let me take lessons. But it wasn't until I was 19 or 20 that I considered this might be a potential career. You know, because I don't know why I just thought when I was younger that it's a hobby and music isn't something that people genuinely pursue when they're older, and then I was actually maybe I can do it.
What was the mental switch? Was there a moment, or just a fuck it, I'm gonna do it? What was the thing?
It was kind of a fuck it, I'm gonna do it. It's funny because I think very differently about it now, but definitely when I was around 19 years old, I was really swept up in the sort of American Idol, The Voice culture, the social media culture of anybody can do it, and I thought, well, if Joe Schmo from
Nebraska,
the hardware store, can win American Idol, or, it's always something like that. Tell me, what do you do? Oh, I work in a hardware store. And then there's some sob story. My parents were divorced when I was a kid. And then they sing amazing, and they're skyrocket to success. And that's all very relatable to everyone.
Sure.
So I think everyone thinks, especially when you're younger, yeah, I could do it. It's easy.
Right. Have you ever thought about going on one of those?
No, I am passionately against those programs. I think they are the worst thing to happen to the music industry in the past 20 years.
Why?
They really feed this narrative of the underdog. So how can I explain that? Those shows operate on, coming from a painful background. So, I jokingly said, well, my parents were divorced, but it could be something like that, or it could be something a little more serious. They're a little rugged, they're not polished, and so people relate to that person. And you root for them, but that person would never make it otherwise. Do you know what I mean? So they are essentially training people who really have no business trying to be musicians that they can.
And is that just because they're not actively pursuing it, and then you're just kind of saying hey, if you just want to jump in, come try and jump in? Is that the feeling you get from it?
That is it. And then it also I think it also villainizes there's some contestants that go on these shows that genuinely are very talented and they're almost like ready to go pop stars or rock stars or what have you. And those contestants always get villainized right away because, oh, you have an ego, or like you're so full of yourself, you think you're just so great, and people don't want to root for that person. When the reality is, those are the people that the real industry is looking for. Like the real A&R executives are looking for people who are packaged and ready to go. Which is why usually the people that win those shows, who again are these underdogs that are fueling the narrative, they don't end up being very successful. And so I think that's like it's flawed. It's like this factory of dream crushing.
I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna use that in the next week in a sales pitch somehow. I don't know how.
It's terrible. It's really terrible. But I mean, to bring it back to your first question, I think when I was 19, I was buying into that. I was like, yeah, anyone can do it. Now that I'm a little bit older, and granted I'm only 23, so I still feel like I'm just starting out.
Yeah. How are you thinking about it? Like, are you obviously open mic? Is that just like honing the skills?
Yeah, I do see it that way because I feel very confident as a writer, and that's a skill set that I've been developing since I was young, because originally I was planning on going to school to get an English major, and that's kind of where I saw my life going, is I'm going to be a novelist, I'm going to write books. But then I fell in love with music, and I just felt like if I could have a career in this, I think this is a lot more appealing.
Yeah. And so have you always been like locked into the mindset from an artist perspective though, like writing or music, or like you've always kind of seen that as the path, and then wherever it kind of goes?
Yeah, I definitely was a songwriter first and foremost. I started writing songs even before I could play guitar, and then I basically begged my parents for lessons so that I had a reason to keep writing songs, because I figured I can't write songs if I don't have music.
Right.
And that's kind of how that got started. And then it wasn't until I was 19, 20 that I began to speculate that I could genuinely have a career. There was something out there for me.
Sure.
But my mindset has changed in that I don't see it anymore as like, someone's going to discover me. I don't see it that way.
Right.
I feel like it's something that I will intentionally create for myself by working for it, which I think is a big part of what you guys are about as well. You create your brand and you create your business.
Yeah.
And you get an audience and you get followers.
For sure. Well, I mean, especially if you consider, I'm sure because you're in the music space, that's a chunk of what you follow on Instagram, and you must see, like, there's just so much content going out all the time, every day and stuff. We were actually, what was that girl's name? Nicole something? The dance videos? Yeah. So she makes, she has like a dance, I don't even know if it's a school necessarily, she teaches dance lessons, but it's like very like freestyle, aggressive, hip-hop-y kind of dancing, and she does like this crew, and they take over, like they'll go on like rooftops or like construction sites and just do these like
just like blatantly like disturb the peace in public space.
I don't know if maybe it's a little disturbing the peace.
I'm down with that though. I like that.
No, but it's cool because it's funny when I watch their content, I imagine it as stuff that you would see on your discovery feed and be like, ooh, okay, I'll stop and watch that for a sec.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like produced just enough, but it almost has like a taste of amateur, so it doesn't feel like a show. I think that's such an interesting way to approach creating content on social.
Yeah.
It's like produce enough that you're pulled into it, but not overproduced, where you like it still feels
where
real.
You feel like you're being sold a construction. Yeah, I agree with that profoundly. Like that's a big part of what I am trying to do moving forward. Is I want it to look, I want all of my content to be polished enough that people can find it engaging, and like the quality or the lack of quality isn't distracting. But I don't want it to be so overproduced that people doubt whether or not I'm actually talented.
Yes, that's a good call.
Which is common. I see two veins, especially with musicians. I see the people who will perform a cover on YouTube, and it's so produced that like they have a music video and they pre-recorded it in a professional studio, and I just think that's too much.
Yeah.
I think that's a little bit ridiculous.
That's fair.
Yeah.
And so, how are you thinking about like your music and your stuff now? Are you of the mind of like, I'd like to write the right song and make it, produce it, or are you kind of just like, I just want to be singing and doing stuff every day? Like, are you?
No, yeah, I definitely don't. What do you mean by doing it every day?
Like there's some people that have, and we've met with and talked to some people where like they feel like it's got like there's a big wind up process of like constructing it and playing with it, and it's I just want that final one thing at the end, that one beautiful thing at the end, or I'd rather have like a whole bunch of like little, like are you like not performing every day, but are you like writing, are you recording every day, or are you just
I write every day, yeah. Just to kind of keep the mental muscles warm.
Sure.
So I definitely write every day. I practice guitar every day. I don't perform every day. I rarely perform, actually. I mean, I'm really in the beginning of wanting to really establish myself as an artist. Whereas before, when I was younger, I was just going to these open mics, playing cover songs and doing that constantly. But none of it was really conducive to a strong brand.
Yeah.
So now I'm actively thinking about what do I want my brand to be? What do I want people to think when they hear the name Violet Hill, and how can I control that? And so I'm very particular about what I put out there.
Sure. And
when do I perform, and what kind of songs do I sing? Because I really want people to know what I'm about.
Sure.
In a sense.
And so take me through that, like that process. Is that something where you've crafted a message or a package, or is it like something that's always been like there and now you're just trying to hone it a little bit better?
Or, I think both. Yeah, both. I mean, I really, and it's hard because when you're an artist, you have to be careful about like the first song that you release, for example. If you have enough people fall in love with that track, and then the next thing that you do sounds too different, you're gonna lose this fan base that you've acquired the first song.
Why do you think that? Like, I only because I disagree with it a little bit.
Okay, cool.
But what's your kind of like?
Well, I mean, and when I mean different, I mean like drastically different. Like if I started releasing songs 3 years ago, a lot of the stuff that I was writing 3 years ago was like very poppy, which I love pop music, don't get me wrong, but it didn't feel 100% right for me. These like love songs and everything's great and we're dancing and so wonderful. Right. And that's not really me anymore. But imagine had I released that content, which I've seen this happen with artists, had I released that content and acquired a certain demographic, and then to release the things that I'm doing now, which I'm trying to be more political. I want my lyrics to be a lot more mature and a lot more nuanced and more poetic. Maybe that material wouldn't have landed.
Sure.
And say a label's looking at me, they might think she just lost all these people. She lost the thing that we liked about her in the first place. Right.
I almost think about it like it's all part of the story, like wherever it was.
Yeah.
Because it's like I was this, and I had fans that loved it, but then like I evolved as a person, which turned to my music, which turned my fan base, and there were going to be some people that like were like, I like the new one because my life is vibing in the same way. But then you'll get people, no, I just like still like the power I'm out. But it almost like, and I say it, I've just started like really kind of mass putting out content. We've been helping businesses create it for a long time. Yeah. Now I'm like really starting to focus on it myself, and I have the same hesitation. I'm like, but if this blog post doesn't speak to people like in the exact right way, it's like not going to be the right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't want people to go. But what I understand is the answer. It's hard to do. It's like it doesn't matter what it is, because if you make it, it's actually yours. And like that evolution, people will come and people will go. And
no, I see what you're saying, because I used to like I've been trying to teach myself that as well. I don't necessarily suffer from writer's block, but I will suffer from just doubting my work as I'm creating it. I just go, okay, I'm kind of going this direction, but maybe that's a little too R&B. Maybe I don't want to be that R&B. Like, how is it going to play if I put this song on a record with a few other tracks? And it's just crazy. It's ridiculous, because if it's coming from me, it's coming from a pure place, and it's probably going to be in line with everything else that I've done in ways that I can't even identify.
Sure. Well, we see it all the time with people getting started on social, especially. It's like there's so many potential posts, and then you're like, no, all these images are out, and you narrow it down to 3, and then find the one caption that matches with the one, and then you're like almost there, and you're like, no, my temperature's changed 2 degrees on it, I'm out.
I know. I'm dealing with that a lot.
It's very hard.
I struggle a lot with like self-doubt, and I'm working on it right now.
Yeah. Tell me about your songwriting process.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you write every day with whatever kind of comes at you, but then how does that develop into something? Or do you like have a pre-planned song and then you kind of go and pick from what you've written before?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of everything. I think a lot of songwriters will agree with this, but sort of if I get an idea, and usually that'll come in the place of like a concept for a song or even just a word that I think strikes me and inspires me, and I'll put that in my notes in my phone. And then if I'm, say sitting at my desk ready to write and nothing's coming to me, I can consult that list and see what I have.
Right.
So that's one way of doing it. Primarily what I tried to do with my songwriting is to capture a very, very specific idea or feeling in order to make it the most relatable song that it can be.
Right.
For example, I have a song called No Ambition, which is exclusively about sort of this very common millennial experience of feeling like you're not doing enough in your life to be successful. I think we're in a culture right now that's like a hustle culture.
Yeah.
Like you constantly have to have 50 side hustles and be working very, very hard, and sure, that's great, but I don't think it's always the healthiest mindset to be in.
Sure.
You're in your 20s, you need to flounder a little bit, you need to fail. But the feeling that a lot of young people have is, oh my God, I'm going nowhere in life because I'm 23 and I'm not famous yet.
I don't think it's a millennial problem. I think it's a 20-year-old problem.
Yeah.
I really do.
Just in your 20s in general, maybe. Yeah.
I mean, I think it's enhanced by the pressure of social and the pressure of the amount of content and the amount of people flaunting bullshit online, where you're like, holy crap, like look where they are, look what they've done.
When really it's like nothing.
Sometimes it's not, sometimes it is. But yeah, and I mean, you don't know, I often suffered especially from the marketing, and I try not to follow any marketers online because, I mean, there's a lot of scammy shit out there anyway, so that's a big motivator for me. But, there's people where, they've got this like really established thing and they've got this beautiful office and they've got this whatever, but they've raised 100 million, or they got this like, 2-3 million from the family to like start things up. And so it's like, I'm looking at it thinking, shit, I'm not even close to that. And then it's like, oh, that's because they started that far ahead. And it just, it clouds your mind and makes you waste time thinking about why not, or being jealous or stupid shit like that.
There's a common phrase, I don't know who said it first, being that you shouldn't compare yourself to others, you should compare yourself to who you were yesterday.
Right. Yeah, I've heard that.
Always be tracking your own progress, which I really try to do as well. Is just remember that I might not be where other 23-year-old artists are, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I still don't have like an upwards trajectory.
Right. Yeah, and to me, in my opinion, being that I've been through my 20s already, it's like looking back, I wish I had have had that perspective earlier, being like, oh, just get it like a little bit better each time, or just learn one more thing, or improve one more thing, or do this or that with the business. And actually I'm really bad at taking the time to reflect on victories. Like no matter what good happens, I'm always like, okay, cool, we got to keep going,
That's important too. I realize that too. Like, I feel like every time I accomplish something, whether it be something as simple as finishing a verse in a song that I've struggled with, I don't let myself enjoy that. I just constantly think about all of the things that I'm not doing right or that I haven't finished, and that kind of overwhelms me. But I'm working on it.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Always work to do. One thing that I've like really become cognizant of in the last 2 years, that I still can't get rid of it, but it's getting better, is like when you get to a certain level of like, okay, I got this and this and this and this done, knowing that I still have, number 5 through 10 that's not done, but it's not going to get done today because I already did 1 to 5. And then you sit there for the rest of the day and you're kind of like, well, maybe I should start 5 to 10. Maybe I should be like, you just let it linger, and then it manifests like as stress or anxiety about, I could have been doing it. Like, no, you should have just got to where you were happy with for that day, shut it down, and then start it again another day, being like, I won that day, or I accomplished something that day. But I think a lot of people now
it's the hustle culture.
It is, yeah. And it's funny, like a lot of people I'm meeting with to do this show now, it's like, it's very, very common. Like people just never feel like they've won the day. I say winning the day. Or, you know what I mean? Like I finished off, I nailed all the accomplishments, because there's this lingering, but tomorrow it's got to be this. And you're like so fixated on maybe I could start it, or being annoyed that like, but I could have spent the extra 3 hours getting ahead on that. But like it doesn't stop. You're never going to be ahead of everything, right? No. So do you suffer from that a little bit, or?
I do a little bit, yeah. Or just anytime I, wake up one day and I really don't get down to the pen and paper, and I don't write anything new, and I just think, oh my God, I'm wasting my life. Or like, primarily when I was a little bit younger, like, a couple years ago when I first moved to the city and I was working in restaurants and bars, and I had no time to work on music at all. Right. Which is why there's kind of a gap between, me deciding I wanted to be a musician at 19 and now me being 23 and finally starting in a way, which is really what I'm doing now. I'm really starting from the ground up, because I was working constantly. And I judged myself so deeply for that. I'm like, I moved to the city and I haven't done any music in 3 years. What's going on? And what kind of an older mentor said to me was, you're a young person who moved to the city with nothing. You needed to get established. Yeah. And that process is important. So don't like disrespect that accomplishment, because it's hard, and not everybody can just move somewhere new and start fresh.
Yep. A lot of people move back home a lot sooner than
a lot of people did. I actually moved here with a friend of mine from high school that I used to work with musically. We used to collaborate musically, and within the first 6 months, she had lost her part-time job and she was ready to move home. And I had to convince her. I was like, "You just hang in there. Like, I'll help you out. You'll get a new job and you'll be back on your feet soon." But there is, I think a lot of people just give up quickly. Sure. And again, it could be that hustle culture too, telling people you're not good enough. So the stress is just so overwhelming and you just kind of deflate.
No, it makes sense. But I think it's also good for people to be aware of if it's not for them. Right?
That as well. Yeah.
Like, we've got, this big space that we're dealing with, and you know what I mean? You've like rent to pay, this and that, but also trying to, accomplish something, make your own money, be a brand, all those components, right? And so it's like a constant nagging stress, a constant anxiety of like, shit, am I good enough? Or is this gonna work? Is that gonna work? And some people just, it's not good for them, right? Like they try it and it just sits with them. Yeah. Rips them apart or whatever it does. But there's a lot of people that aren't built for it. And I think if you're aware that you're not and you act on it accordingly, it's probably better than just staying as a stress pit, or you know what I mean, just having constant
trying to force
anxiety.
Something that's not necessarily working. Yeah Cool.
So let's talk about building the brand. So right now, what are you on social? Are you on YouTube, Instagram?
I'm not on YouTube. I would love to be on YouTube. That's one of I really believe in YouTube as a medium for artists. And weirdly enough, you'd think everybody would be on it, but most people I know aren't. Yeah. Which to me is crazy, because especially when I was like a kid and I was learning guitar, a lot of the artists that I fell in love with and that I'm still big fans of today, I started watching on YouTube, and they were putting up these amateur videos of themselves performing their original material, and I'm like, oh, that's cool and that's relatable, and now they're signed to these big record labels. And so I always saw that as a part of how I was going to get fans. Yeah, well, and I just think
the long form visual aspects of it leads perfectly into what you do, right?
Yeah, you just once a week post a video, show people where you're at. People like to see your progress. They like to kind of fall in love with you as a personality and then root for your success, which I think is extremely powerful. Taylor Swift is great at that. Like, all her fans feel like they are her family. Yep. And that's part of why she, is at the top of her game and has stayed that way for so long. I truly believe that about her. So yeah, I would love to do YouTube. I need to get some nice equipment. I need to get a nicer camera. I don't have a nice camera. But that is one of my goals.
Yeah. I have some thoughts on that. And then, sorry, and you are on Instagram.
I am on Instagram.
Do you have a Facebook page?
I have a Facebook page, but I was going to ask you about this because I do not use it.
Yeah.
I basically only have a Facebook page because I wanted my Instagram to be a business account.
Yep.
And I also use
So
a
common.
third,
Yeah.
I use a third party service called Later
Yep.
to schedule my Instagram
Scheduling posts. Yep.
So I needed to have a Facebook page
Right.
to have both of those things, which I am like very irritated by because I hate Facebook.
Yeah, that's very
But I was
common.
going to ask you is, do you think Facebook has an important place in the realm of marketing yourself and creating your own brand?
So you're in the same boat as a lot of people your age around why you have it. Because you're like, okay. And so the other part of it is if you want to run ads,
You need it?
you need it to run it out of the proper, like the actual ad manager instead of just boost. You've seen boost the post for $25. That's a complete scam.
Good.
Yeah.
I'll never do it.
Yeah,
You heard it here.
That's like going to the casino. It's just not good. I mean, you'll get some eyeballs, but like your lack of ability to target the right people it makes it very limiting. So you need a Facebook page to have an ad account to be able to run proper ads. So that's part of it. And then the other part is, if you need to have a business Instagram profile. That's what most people have. I think a lack of friction if somebody is like a Facebook person and they want to find you makes sense. I can tell you that like when you post on Facebook, the reach, so if you've got 100 fans, your reach on Facebook is like 3 out of 100 and your reach on Instagram is maybe like 15 or 18 out of 100 right now. So every time you put out a piece of content, it has way more splash on Instagram. Even if you have the same amount of following. So
Interesting.
Yeah, so especially with the business account. So what Facebook's trying to do is they're trying to say, well, we know what's best for you. So even though you follow this page, because it's a business page, we're going to choose the content that hits your feed more so than just letting it be based on who you follow, which is kind of fucked up. But they think they know what's best. They want to keep people like scrolling through as much as possible. So that's what that's what they're betting on, which is a unique challenge for a business page because it's like if you don't have even if you have a massive one of the guys that we do some work with has like
I'm so sorry, you're talking about Instagram or Facebook?
Facebook
Does this.
Facebook's got a way more limited reach to your
Yeah.
following. But we've got a guy we work with, he's 3.7 million on Facebook and we get like not even 3% of his followers see every post. It's a nightmare.
That's what I started noticing that because I would post things on Facebook and then I would ask people that I knew that follow me. I'm like, oh, did you see this? And it's like, oh no, I didn't.
It's bad. And so what you have to do now is they're saying, cool, well, if you want your fans to see it, pay for an ad to boost it to the fans that already follow you, which is, it is what it is. It's a free platform. They can do whatever they want.
Yeah.
But it's frustrating to like actually try and build a following on there. But what I would say is if you're using a scheduling software like Later anyway, you could almost make the exact same post on Facebook than on Instagram. So I would say do it because if if there's some group or some piece of content that somebody discovers, there's no harm to being there. It's free. And if you're already creating content for Instagram, you can still, and actually now even more so, you can have square images for both. So you don't even have to adjust the image or the video, right? Whatever content, then just make sure the cadence of the copy makes sense, right? Like on Facebook, you can add a link. On Instagram, you can't add a link, right? Because from a post, you wouldn't be able to click out to anything. So I would say to do it, even though it probably won't drastically improve your discoverability.
I'm not into Facebook. I'm kind of over it, like pretty hard. But I have been doing that. Just anytime I post something on Instagram, the same thing goes on Facebook as well. Because I'm like, it's there. Might as well be there. But I definitely see Instagram as like my primary platform.
Yeah, I would say
until I get YouTube, and then I plan on YouTube being the primary platform.
Yeah, but I think if you start doing not boost, but you start running little ads to try and expand your reach, I would run the exact same one on Facebook, one on Instagram beside each other just to see. Because what I find is if you want to get traffic somewhere, Facebook's easier to get traffic to places. So if you have like SongLink, so it's like
what is that?
It's a lot of artists use it. So if you've got a song on Spotify and Apple Music and Deezer and all those other Tidal and all those platforms, it's like a little landing page that pops up. and you can pick what platform you want to listen to it on.
Weird.
So on your Instagram profile, right? Like you'd have you only have one little link in your bio, right? And so if it's go check out my new song on Spotify, it's only going to Spotify.
Yeah.
So what it does is you click the link and it pops up and it gives you multiple channels to let people
listen
go
to it on?
Yeah. So if somebody's like, well, I don't use Spotify, but I use Amazon Music or whatever it is, it would give them all the options within that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Cool.
Yeah. So song link. There's like 4 or 5 different ones for artists. But if you're trying to drive, so say you post a song online, you're trying to get people over there. If you're running ads, you'll get more cheaper traffic from Facebook ads than Instagram ads. So it's something worth playing with, even if you're not posting on your Facebook page at all, because what'll happen is they're clicking and they're going out to wherever the song is instead of to your Facebook page.
Yeah.
So I actually do like the idea of running ads on Facebook and on Instagram, even if you're not active on the Facebook page.
Yeah.
Just because you can get traffic to your song for cheaper.
I feel that. Okay, cool.
So something to think about.
Yes.
And then what about, so YouTube working on, what's your kind of like plan of action for the YouTube side? Are you trying to do like cover stuff? Are you just trying to do some?
I'll do a little bit of that, yeah. Because that's the way I see it is I can post an original, but nobody's searching for that. Not really, right? Nobody's
Not
searching
yet.
like undiscovered artist, original song. Like maybe they are. I mean, I do it, but I'm a musician and I genuinely want to see who the competition is.
Sure.
But yeah, so I see the cover thing. A lot of people don't like the cover artist idea.
As a whole.
You know, yeah, because it's kind of again playing into that American Idol-esque thing of I sing other people's songs in the hope that one day I'll be good enough at singing them that a label will give me my own songs to sing. But I don't see it that way. The way I would see it is covering music would get me that artist's fan base to start being interested in me. So for example, if I cover a Jack White song, Jack White fans might find it, think it's good, and then when I start throwing my originals, you know, they have the opportunity to see them as well and decide if they like me as an artist. The important thing I think there is for me to be strategic about the songs that I choose to cover.
Yeah,
because if there's
sure that's relatable to the
sound that I want.
To the fans of the other people, to make sure you could actually take them.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Like it would be silly of me to like try and, I don't know, cover Metallica and then all these metalheads are following my YouTube channel and out of nowhere I start playing my, you know, very sad Elliott Smith-esque music. They're going to be like, who are you? Why did you turn on us? So I can't do that. But yeah, that's kind of my rough plan. And I'd love to do on YouTube more sort of behind the scenes things, which I think is really important to show people your process.
Yeah, I'm glad you went there.
Cool.
That actually might be better than cover.
Really? That's interesting.
I mean, I would put up as much as you can all the time everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's funny because I was mentioning before I interviewed a hip hop artist, Golden G, and he's very artistic guy, and like the idea of like, oh yeah, like make a video, like a 4-minute video about your day every day and just post it on YouTube. He's like, no, like what if I'm just like at my regular job and like this and that? I'm like, no, it doesn't fucking matter. Like people just want to know what's going on all the time in people's lives.
That's so true. It's so weird. It's like, it's so weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been thinking about that. I tried to do that today though. My problem is that, and I'm gonna cringe when I watch this podcast, is that like when I hear my speaking voice, I just get so insecure, even though it's probably fine.
Me too. I fucking hate my voice. What I do is I send this to somebody else to edit it, and then I just tell them to post it. I don't even go back and watch them. I don't see the final copy. I don't see anything. I just let it go out on the internet and hope for the best. Because yeah, that's my barrier, is if I hear it and I'm like, man, you're like stammering over your words, you repeated something 7 times, like what the fuck? I would have a lot more trouble hitting go.
I say
So I don't
a lot.
Yeah.
You ever seen How I Met Your Mother?
Everybody fucking says
Yeah.
all the time. It just happens.
There was a How I Met Your Mother episode where Robin, do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know that. I don't know that episode. I know the show, but
Robin Scherbatsky is on the news and she keeps saying "badum"
oh,
during the interview. She goes "badum, badum, badum." So the people in the pub that are watching her on the news make a drinking game, and you take a shot every time she says "badum." That's how I feel. Like I feel like I
Right.
just stutter and say the dumbest things. So like today I was I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna make an Instagram story about what I'm doing today because I have an interesting day. I'm interviewing for this podcast and then I'm gonna go play at this open mic.
yeah.
So cool. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. I tried so many takes and I was like, this is ridiculous. And I
Yeah.
just gave up.
One thing, so we do, part of my company is running ads for people, and part of it is training. So it's like, hey, I've got this business. I know I got to put out content, but I'm stuck, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's your problem is everybody's problem. It's the same problem. Everybody watches it back over again, and they're like, oh yeah, like I could have been looking this way, or oh yeah, I should have been this angle instead of that angle.
Yeah, my eyes are all over the place. I'm like,
It's crazy eyes. I just said I think getting in the habit of just talking and posting, like don't look at it, don't do it, don't do anything to it, just
Do
hit
it.
out there, because when you get in the habit of that, you're like, the next time you fuck something up, you're like, oh yeah, but like the last 7 posts I said something stupid.
Yeah.
So who fuck, like it's
Yeah.
already out there, who cares?
who cares?
Yeah, it's tricky to get into it, but that's the only way that I'm able to put out anything.
Yeah.
And we record different things on video and whatever, and I can never go through like a structured script. Like I always stop and I'm like, oh, side tangents and stuff, and
Yeah.
I just put it all out there. And I think it helps people grow like affection towards you, because they're like,
Because you're a real person.
it is, but it's true. Because if you think about the content that you consume, like the people that you follow,
Yeah.
even the brands that you follow, like most people don't follow a lot of brands, but the people that do, it's like, it's just shit that's going on in their office, or they have these stupid little segments that they shoot, and you're like, oh, I wonder what this guy's gonna like. How many Nerf guns this guy's gonna get hit with today?
Yeah.
But it's nothing to do with being buttoned up and giving a presentation within their business, right? It's like, just like, what are you guys doing? Because I'm bored and I want to be entertained, so
Yeah.
entertain me.
Yeah. And if you do that, then, you know, when you have something to sell me, I'm more inclined to
Yeah.
want to buy it.
Yeah.
And maybe not sell you like monetary, like a monetary transaction, but as an artist, you know, I guess the more that I engage, even in a way that's not based around the music,
Yep.
the more people are going to be there ready to receive the music when it comes out.
Yeah.
That's kind of what you're getting at.
And I think it's similar to, and just putting out like regular, consistent, whatever it is, just put it out. That mentality kind of goes back to what we were talking about before, when you had songs from a couple of years ago and you're like, well, you know, if I had to put them out, my voice changed and it wasn't me. Like that's going to happen anyway. You're going to get what typically happens. So we've worked with people that had, you know, 400 followers. We've worked with people with 10,000, 100,000. And when you start putting out regular content that's like super authentic, unedited, what we typically see is a huge drop off and then a rebuild. Because there were people that said, well, there was this staged thing, or you weren't in my face often enough, so I didn't care. But they weren't followers because they cared. They just stumbled across something once, but they weren't genuine followers. They were just people that, like, because I only post 4 times a month, you weren't interrupting their feed, but they didn't really care about you. And they didn't really know who you were. They just happened to be following you for some reason. So what we do find is you'll get a dramatic, not always a dramatic drop, but you will get a whole bunch of people that leave because you're on their feed every day now, and they're like, yeah, this isn't what I want.
I've noticed that too.
But those would be people that weren't going to follow you anyway. They just don't know it because you're not in their face all the time.
You're right. Yeah. I
Yeah.
get what you're saying. Because I see that too when I've been starting to post photos. You know, every time I post a photo, I get X amount of new followers, right? They're like, oh, this girl's cute. Great. Follow her Instagram. Second time I post something else, if there's enough time in between, they'll be like, who are you? Oh yeah, you were cute in your last picture and that's why I followed you, but this is a photo of something I don't care about, so
Right.
unfollow.
And there's also going to be like, there's also robots right? So like, no, there is. So there's people who, like real people that use robots. So it's like, if I use hashtag whatever, there's a robot that says, oh, my account's going to go follow that because of the hashtag. But then if you don't follow them back within a certain amount of time,
They unfollow you?
they unfollow you.
That's so upsetting.
That's a real thing.
It's as upsetting as knowing that my phone is spying on me.
Yeah, good luck with that.
And like robots are following me on Instagram.
So, and again, it can be genuine people, but what they don't have the time to do necessarily is go through the discovery and find some people. But it's not an authentic follower either, because they only followed you because of the hashtag. So even if you did follow them back and you were to say like, hey, go listen to my music at some point, it's probably not the right person anyway.
Yeah.
So that's why a lot of people will ask, oh, should I buy followers? Should I buy an existing account that already has a bunch of people? Like, the answer is no, because when it comes to you needing to, not even monetizing the audience, but like when you've got like, hey, I've got a song out on Spotify, or hey, I've got a show coming up. If those aren't people that would potentially invest in it anyway, then who fucking cares who they are?
Then you
like,
don't need them.
there's no point.
Yeah.
And you'll have a good chunk of the audience that just likes it for one thing, right? Like, I don't know, Jenny's channel, like she's probably does about 10 to 12 stories a day, and it's like working out stuff, climbing stuff, mental health, the cat, like it's every different thing. And like, she has ebbs and flows. If she, you know, when we go on certain trips where we're outdoors, she'll like bring in a lot, like we're in the mountains, whatever. So she'll bring on a bunch of like hikers and And then when we're back here and it's the cat and it's yoga, those people start to fade off and the yoga people come in. It's a very strange ebb and flow. But I always tell people, don't be worried about losing all the followers, because if you put out stuff that's super consistent with you and just shit that's going on, the people that do come back or the people that do stay are the right people, and everybody else, there's not that much value in it anyway. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Yeah, and that's something that I've always known deeply, but like couldn't put it into practice, or just was forsaking the importance of.
Yeah.
But I would like to do that, yeah. So I need to get my Instagram story game up and start doing those.
Yeah.
And the good thing about What's It's Like Later is now that you can schedule those things as well.
You can schedule Instagram stories on later?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, fuck.
It's
we
new.
gotta look at that.
But you have to be having a certain account. So they have different subscriptions.
Yeah.
That are all different price points.
Interesting.
But I think it's only the second price point.
Interesting. Because we pay a lot of money for
you should be able to do it.
A lot for the software that we use, but I don't think you can. We use one called Agora Pulse, but because of the amount of accounts we have attached, that's why it's like 160 US a month or something.
Oh my god.
It's not crazy, but it's.
I think that's a lot.
No, but if people are paying us to do, it's not like you know what I mean. It's just a cost of doing business, but it's interesting because we're spending a lot more time on stories just because the engagement rate, especially even if it's just one post, if you do a story every single day, even if it's not great. So when you go into Instagram and there's all like the people at the top that have the stories, when you post more regularly, it pulls you further along in that person's circle feed.
Oh, I see. 'Cause it's all in a line.
So it's related to unofficially, because there's all these algorithms that decide. But from what we've experienced, it's like if you put out something every day, it helps push it along. And then the other part is like how often, like if that person watches you all the time, it's naturally going to move that person to the front. But you can certainly gain a lot more, like get a lot more exposure if you're posting every day, because it moves your little circle closer to the front of the queue.
And that's probably true with YouTube as well. The more frequently you're...
Yeah, YouTube's a different one. One thing I would recommend in YouTube is the same way you share an Instagram post, you can do that on YouTube. And it there's a tab called Community.
Okay.
So it's like my videos, discussions, but there's a community one, and that's like a wall that you can go post into.
Oh, I think I've seen things like that in my my subscription feed.
Yeah.
Like where the creators are for example, posting a poll and they want you to engage in it and vote on like maybe what their next video is going to be.
Or you can even shoot like really short form stuff, be like, hey guys, my new video is up, because then it pushes the alert out as well as the video coming up if someone follows you, right? Because if they follow a bunch of people, I mean, it's the same thing with anything. It's like the more at bats you get, the more stuff you can put out, the more chance people are going to see it. So when you post a video on YouTube, your subscribers will probably see it in their recommended channel. But if you then also do a post on the community, it's actually a different place where that alert comes up. So it gives you another kind of at bat to get that person's attention. And very few people are using it effectively. So anytime I'm meeting with like a new business or anybody, whether it's for marketing or training or podcast, I always look, we have an audit system that we go through. Just, are they doing this? Are they doing that? Most people aren't using that community thing at all. And it's a great way to get like little bursts, like alerts out to the people that are following you. Yeah, it's very effective. And you can do like pictures, you can use video, you can use just text, whatever it is. But we're using it very regularly with people now. It's been really good.
Cool.
So it's a good thing to think about. It's the same thing as, again, it'd be the same kind of like updates that you'd post on Instagram, but maybe related to the videos that you're doing. New videos up, same way you'd do like Instagram stories, maybe.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Cool.
I don't know. We talked about YouTube a little bit. Let's talk about just content making as a whole, because this is always an interesting path.
Yeah.
So you, just like everybody else, I promise you this is everybody, have a lot of trouble with like getting started. I don't like hearing my voice.
No,
I can't find the perfect
my voice
thing.
sounds terrible.
What type of content are you comfortable putting out? Like, are you the kind of person that could like, just like whatever, like here's 4 updates throughout my day, no matter where I am, I'll just throw you in front of stuff? Are you like,
I think I could start to be comfortable with that. I have to work on it, but when the camera's not pointing at me, obviously it's significantly easier. I'm not in the frame, so I have tried to take photos, or this is kind of my plan going forward. This is not something that I'm actively doing now, but take photos of things that I'm looking at or places that I am. If I'm watching another performer, maybe filming that person, and just trying to introduce my follower to my environment. Maybe they can start to see themselves in me in a way, if that makes sense, in a non-creepy way. You know what I mean? Like, oh, she's at an open mic, or she's drinking in a bar with her friends. I do those things. We're the same. So that kind of thing, and then hopefully I'll gain the courage to start turning the phone towards me and showing.
How do you get the pictures of you that you have now? Like, because it feels like from the Instagram posts that I've seen, it feels like they're all like fairly like produced. You've got.
Oh yeah.
I don't say that in a bad way. I mean, like, you like had a photographer.
Oh yeah, no, I booked. I started thinking about that I wanted to build a brand. I wanted to build a strong image and a strong aesthetic. Because what I feel a lot of artists neglect when they're coming up with their brand, even if they're very like business savvy musicians, is that you're really creating a visual world to go with your music. A lot of artists do an amazing job at that. Like, you could think of like Katy Perry, for example, with like, what do you think of when you think of Katy Perry? You think of mountains of candy and everything's colorful. Unicorns and things like that. There's an artist called Marina and the Diamonds. You might be familiar with her. She's like an indie pop queen. She's excellent. And with her, she had an album that she released called Fruit, where the entire marketing strategy of that album was creating a visual world around it. Think fruit, like Fruit Loops, so very colorful. And there was, every time she released a song, she released a video with it, and it created this visual package. So not only were you hearing the song and experiencing it that way, but like your other senses were engaged in experiencing it. So I'm going on a little bit of a tangent here, but this just reinforced something that I wanted to do. Was I wanted my Instagram to be beautiful and polished and create this stimulating visual effect. You know what I mean? So I had a friend of mine who's she's actually a wedding photographer, but professionally she's a wedding photographer, but she does a lot of creative stuff on the side. And I was like, would you be interested in working with me and creating this brand? So we worked together on wardrobe and where are we going to shoot it, and try to do that essentially. So my Instagram is very bougie. I have a very bougie Instagram, and then nothing else is bougie. Nothing else is there.
And so, but how many? So was that like one shoot basically that you got?
I've done 2 with her over the past 3 years, and seeing the first shoot we did, I just kind of was like, I should I don't know, I was just like throwing things at the wall, and I was like, I should get a professional photographer and I should do a photo shoot. And then I had the photos and I had no idea what to do with them.
Yeah.
They're all beautiful. She did an amazing job and they all represented me really well, but I just didn't know how to use them.
Right.
I didn't have later at the time, for example, I didn't know about Instagram scheduling programs. So then I did another photo shoot with her quite recently, and I planned much more aggressively for this one. So I strategically was like, what am I going to wear in it? And that was very, very important because I had to think about, it sounds superficial. It all sounds superficial, I think, from like if there are musicians watching, they're like, oh, you should be focusing on writing and making music. Why are you caring about what you're going to wear in your Instagram post?
There's a visual element. There has to be.
But yeah,
And there's an
exactly.
aesthetic.
And a lot of musicians don't think about that. They don't think about how what they wear and how they present themselves really affects whether or not people are going to like your music. It really, really does. Jack White said something great about this, and I love Jack White because he's respected for so many different reasons, but he really believes in the power of style and the power of aesthetic. And he says that regardless of the choice you make, at the end of the day, you are making a choice. Right? So even if you come out on stage and you're wearing your jeans and your t-shirt and you think that, omits you from this superficial world, it doesn't, because you're still making a choice.
Making a statement about it.
Yeah.
In whatever way.
Yeah. Nirvana, of course, came onto the scene, and, they're grungy, and they probably go on stage wearing the same clothes that they've rolled out of bed in for the past week. But that speaks to people, and people relate to that. And so that's why Nirvana has the following that they do.
Yeah.
So I was very strategic about, like, what am I going to wear, and where are we going to shoot it, and all that jazz.
How many photos did you come out with?
From the most recent shoot, like 300.
Okay.
And then filtered through those, found the ones that I really liked, because some of them I'm like, my hair is doing a weird thing and I just can't stomach that. So, and then probably out of those I got like 50% of them that I really liked.
That's great. And did you do it where you changed outfits a bunch of times, or is it like the same?
Oh yeah, I'm wearing different outfits, but it's clearly the same space.
Right. Which is okay.
But I had I
It's
just
smart.
wanted to create the illusion that
No, it's important though. A lot of people get fixated on nailing that one picture, and like the process of finding a space and paying for a photographer and getting all this shit ready to go. It drives me nuts when you don't end up with like 100 assets. They don't have to be perfect and polished, and a lot of photographers will say, "Oh, but no, we just need to get like the 15." It's like, no, not in social media world. Like, we need a fucking lot.
You need a lot.
So
I still don't feel like I have enough.
No,
which is crazy.
You never do. But yeah. So one thing, and that's a really good way to think about it, is like, every photo shoot you should do, you should have 10 outfits, and just fucking even if you shoot the exact same shot. I'm sitting here and I was looking like this, and I changed this shirt, and I had this shirt, and I had this shirt. Because if you spread it out and do like one of those every 4 months, like nobody's gonna go back through. You know what I mean? The odd person might go back through. Oh, did you do that in the same spot? But nobody cares. It's still just fresh, not the exact same picture going out. Yeah. Which I think is
the goal at the end of the day. Is fresh content consistently. To keep your audience engaged and to keep them curious about what could happen next.
And then are you thinking about Instagram stories as like the more kind of just grungy, whatever's happening behind the scenes? Is that kind of how you're
I guess
it?
so. Like, kind of like the Instagram is the show, if you will, and it's what will attract you initially, but then the story is look behind the curtain, and I want to be very transparent moving forward in my career endeavors about the way that things are done, because I am different from a lot of musicians in a way that I find marketing fascinating. I think it's really interesting and so powerful and empowering that you can take your career in your own hands in this way. Yeah. And I want to be transparent about that. I don't want to pretend like, what? No, I just woke up with a beautiful face of makeup and gorgeous hair. It's like, no, I'm going to be transparent about the fact that that was a photo shoot. Right. But I did that because I care about my image, and I care about my aesthetic, and I care about my music. Yeah. And so every little detail is important to me. And hopefully people understand that and they get it, and I attract the right fans. There are gonna be people who don't. There are people that just think that social media is inherently superficial. Yeah. But I don't think it is. I really don't.
No, it's at the end of the day, it's can you make people make the decision to buy from you?
Yeah, it's just a tool.
Absolutely. And I think having staged proper nice visuals, like we made our own stock photography for the website. And you always see it. It's always that same asshole shaking hands with someone on like business websites.
Yeah.
You're like, come on, really?
Okay,
so
are we allowed to curse in this podcast?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I was holding back
No.
my negative energy, but now I'm gonna unleash it.
I'm awful at not swearing.
Okay,
So
nice.
it's not
I love cursing. It's my favorite.
Me too.
Yeah, but I don't curse on my songs. Weirdly enough. I don't know.
No,
Maybe
but
I
you
should.
can. Yeah, I could see it. But you'd have to like put some thought into actually wanting to do that. I think in music that's not hip hop, it's like really strange.
I was gonna say
it's really
hip-hop.
strange. No, that you gotta fucking swear your face off for sure.
But when you just curse, like I hear it in pop songs sometimes. There's a few like pet peeves I have about pop music in general, and one of them is just when you throw in a curse word for no reason.
Right.
And it doesn't like make any sense. It happens more frequently than you would think. It's dumb.
Is everything still running? Yeah. No. Is that one still running? That's fine. I figured that one was gonna die. Stupid camera.
Crazy.
That's fine. That's why we have backups.
Yeah.
Because like I said, we lost like a whole interview
An
already.
important takeaway
And you
too.
can't. Yeah. And you
Voice
can't
backups.
You can't go back and record it because then it's super fake. Can you imagine us trying to like start this conversation from zero
And
again?
it just wouldn't be organic anymore. I mean, we
don't
could.
think
You could just like take notes and like.
It'd be weird though, right?
Maybe.
That's why I try not to edit it. Like the whole idea of like something being staged like that, I don't know. It just strikes me as super weird. Like if we were to just be like, cool, okay, let's just start from.
Tell
the
me
beginning.
why you hate American Idol again.
What's your name again? Yeah, I don't know. I can't deal with it. And so let's talk about Instagram stories because I think it's very important. I think you're on the right track. The way you're thinking about your photo shoots, getting a mass amount of content, the way that you're staging it, I think you're right on the right track with it. Instagram stories. What I've got a couple of ideas that I think would be really cool for them. Like what's kind of your plan for that? Like what are you thinking about?
Initially, when I started realizing that I could schedule them on the third-party app that I'm using, I thought about sort of doing a smaller scale version of what I plan on doing on YouTube. You know, so doing some covers. It'll be in shorter snippets because the Instagram story doesn't really cater to longer form content. Which is how I'm learning a lot of songwriters are getting quote unquote discovered these days. A lot of them are saying, I got discovered on Instagram more frequently than I'm hearing YouTube now.
Yeah.
Obviously, I still want to use YouTube. But yeah, covers, I'll do snippets of my material. I would like to have the courage to put my content on Instagram when I've written it, you know, when it's rough.
Yeah.
I think when you show people, especially I'm really attracted to artists who do this, but if I've just written a song, I would like to have the bravery to just film a video and be like, hey, I just wrote this. Give me your feedback, you know? And then that way, if we decide that this song is good and it ends up making it to the studio, we'll have fans that can say, oh my God, I saw when she wrote that. Like, that's so cool.
Right.
Like, I saw the oranges.
I agree. I was actually thinking about it from even the writing perspective. Like when you're like camera's right here and you've got your notebook and you're like just talking out loud as you're going through your writing exercises. And I know it's probably something where you're like, no, but that's personal.
That's so
I don't
embarrassing.
fucking do that.
No, people want to see your process.
They
Yeah.
really do. Yeah, it'd be kind of cool where you're talking about like, you know, you don't have to necessarily be showing the notebook, but almost saying like, hey, I'm working on this thing from the other day. Here was like my one word that I came up with, and here's my 10 words that I've used to associate, and here's my 3 sentences, and kind of like talk through that process. And what I think you should do is like get a tripod for your phone for sure, because you should shoot everything on your phone. You don't need
A fancy camera.
I don't think so. Well, it turns off halfway through the fucking interview, so you don't need that.
That's crazy.
I know.
Is it on now?
No, it's not. That is. I don't know. I don't look at the camera anyway. I just like to have video because I'm lazy. It's easier to put on YouTube after.
Cool.
Right? Instead of just audio, it's like why not just record sitting here? But yeah. So what we do is we'll often set them up, even if you're recording yourself on something else, having like a side camera, because it might just be like you might get a couple screenshots from that image. But even having like setting up camera talking through your writing process just for 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes. Take that. So then what I would do is I would find like a couple of cool parts of that, or maybe like one cool part as an
Clip them
Instagram
out,
story.
Yeah.
Use the 10-minute clip on Instagram TV.
Oh.
So what you can do is take the 20-second snippet,
Yeah.
put it on Instagram stories, and then there's like a little link in the top. So you can
see
use
the
like,
full episode, if you will,
yeah.
on IGTV.
And then it's super
Which
easy.
I like just learned what that was, like
It's
literally
amazing.
like a week ago, and I'm like, what is this?
So Instagram TV, so Instagram is interesting. They will give you more discoverability on the shit that they care about. Right now, that's Instagram TV. That's what they want to push. So what I do is I've only got the one, but I've got a whole bunch of clips. I've got 8 episodes of this show that have to be edited still. So it's like I got a backlog. But what I'm doing is I'm taking 10-minute clips or 5-minute clips and I'm putting it up in there. You can then make an Instagram story that links to it. But I've found, even just from the one clip that I put, it was like a 1:50 video, which is a clip of this. I put that up, and the discoverability numbers are ludicrous. So they're showing up in the Discovery channel under whatever different thing, and then it's clicking in, and then it's going into Instagram TV from there. It used to be that you'd have to go like get in Instagram TV and go through it. Now your Discovery thing is a whole bunch of, I'm finding it's probably
Channels.
close to 40-50% Instagram TV videos versus just regular post videos. So that's like, they're really trying to get people to use it. So, and not a lot of people are effectively, and they could just be whatever, just like short little episodes about, practicing a song for 10 minutes or talking through the writing process. And it's just that. So to me, the way I would break that apart is you put that up on YouTube, you do a post on your community from YouTube, like, hey, just put this video up. It was like, how I was thinking about music today. Like that links back to your YouTube video. Then you put it on Instagram TV, exact same videos you put on YouTube, because the people that follow you on one probably don't cross over to the other. So just put it up everywhere.
So that you're tapping into two streams.
And then Facebook Watch, which is their long form, so your Facebook business page. So it's the same idea as you'd post something on Instagram, but it just gives you more, right? Because with a 10-minute clip, it goes on Instagram TV, Instagram story, Instagram post, Facebook Watch, Facebook story,
I didn't even know
Facebook
Facebook Watch was a thing.
Yeah. You have to apply to it. Not everybody gets it, but it's the same idea as Instagram TV. And it's just like, if you're going to go through the process of making stuff anyway, like
put it on every
just
platform
maximize
that
the
you have.
shit out of it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Put it on everything. Huh. Yes, this is wise. You are saying wise things to me right now. It's true. And yeah, I don't know. I really try to just be savvy about it, and a lot of musicians aren't.
Yeah.
And it's a shame because.
But I'll tell you that like how far you are ahead just considering it or like taking some action on it is huge, because there's people in this space and in every different business, like
industries,
where you could be, if you wanted to be like the fucking dentist that everybody knew.
Or like Dr. Pimple Popper.
That's disgusting.
Do you know who that is?
It's horrible.
She's famous.
Horrible.
She's famous for doing this totally gross thing.
I understand. It's fucking horrible.
People love it. I don't like it at all.
Neither do I. It
makes me upset. Yeah, it makes me really upset. And then my coworkers love it, and they're always watching it during like the work day. Please turn it off.
But yeah, I mean, I think, taking that bold step and just filming shit that's going on for like 10 minutes and being like, here you go, here's the thing, right? And I agree that having the polished stuff in certain areas makes sense. And I think you're thinking about this all very smart. It's just always the question of, okay, so A, how do I make a ton of content? And then B, how do I get it out? So I had a couple of thoughts on that. For making it, I think, getting the tripod for your camera and just getting in the habit of filming for 5 minutes a day during whatever creative process it is, either like strumming along or writing, not thinking about it, not editing it, not doing anything with it, just fucking go, just put it out there and see what happens. And I think you'd be after the first week or two, it gets like way easier. It's just like, oh yeah, like you don't even consider going back to look.
It becomes just a part of your day.
Yeah. One thing that I've told a lot of businesses, and this is probably getting a little redundant on this because I say it to everybody, but think about producing content the same way you think about invoicing a client or creating a song. Like it's a fundamental necessity of the business. So if the way I get things done is I have in my calendar, I'm like from 7 to 7:30 I have to be writing, and however you structure your day to make you actually get shit done, this should fall into that calendar or whatever that thing is, like my notepad where it's my tasks for the day. Like it should be like a business task that you cannot not do.
Posting an Instagram story, just, you know, basically shouting out into the void, like tapping into it.
Yeah. Whatever it is, but if you think about it like, oh, I should be doing this, you're kind of losing already. I should be doing it is great, but there's so many things you should be doing that you're not. Same thing with me, right? I should be doing a lot of different stuff, but like I ran out of time. I have to service my clients first. I got to make sure that's all good. And so a lot of times if I should be doing stuff, it's never happening. If it's a business task, the same way calling back a client is, then it's getting done. Yeah. And it's like, if you really believe in it as an essential thing to getting discovered, to getting your music, to growing the business, then it makes it easier to like, it makes you struggle because it gives you stress and anxiety about shit, I haven't recorded anything today. And like, that's a tough barrier. But once, you know what I mean? It's just like any new task within the business. Once you get into it and get into the habit, it makes it a lot easier to do. So I'd try and frame it like that, just because again, it's very hard to record yourself and put content into the world. It's awkward.
It's weird. Yeah.
Super weird. But yeah, you just kind of have to.
And I also struggle with, I'm like, does anyone find this interesting? Like, I feel like, and what's funny too is, you know, we'll watch my favorite artists' Instagram stories, and sometimes it'll just be like, I'm making tea. And I'm just like, that's so cool. Making tea. Yeah. I make tea. But like, it's like, but if I were to do that, if I were to film myself making tea, I feel like an idiot. Yeah. I'm like, nobody cares.
I'll tell you the real answer, because we work with people that have millions of followers and people that have hundreds of followers. Everybody feels the same level of fucking stupid doing it.
Cool.
Every single person. Nice. The people that have like, we had a guy that's got like 3.8 million on Facebook. And every time we're like, hey, can you record us 9 consecutive videos being like, yo, Instagram, we're doing this thing. Can you check it out? Yo, Facebook, yo, YouTube, yo, Snapchat, yo, whatever. Like record the same 40-second clip over and over and over and over and over again. Like have the same enthusiasm. They're like, this is fucking dumb. Like, yes, but it'll work better. So just do it. So nobody feels comfortable getting excited about making tea, but understanding that it's a fundamental, it's kind of going back, like knowing that that's a real marketing tool that like actually gets you somewhere. It's like, fuck it, gotta do it. Put on the face, get it going.
When you really think about it, you know, when you think about the amount of competition that's out there, and you know that, oh, if I film myself making tea right now, we're really, you know, hammering the tea example home, that's gonna get me a step forward, then do it, right? Like, it might feel a little bit silly, but how easy, if it's something that you're doing anyway, put it on camera, because somebody out there wants to watch that.
For sure. Yeah. It's a strange thing, but it works. And then I think you should think about, especially when you've got like more longer form, more polished stuff, I think you should probably run some Facebook and some Instagram and some YouTube advertising. A lot of people get intimidated by the thought of like putting ad dollars in. You can test and play with like really, 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 really small amounts that will, like, you know, can at least tell you what people are thinking and tell you like what people's reactions to stuff will be. You know, on YouTube, you'll generally get a view for 2 cents. On Instagram, it's like 1 penny per view. So if you put $1 in, you can get 100 views for the day. 100 eyeballs on it. On
whatever it is that you're trying to get out there.
Yeah, and so, you know, the cost of entry to test stuff and see what people like and don't like is really inexpensive.
Yeah.
And so you can measure the engagement rate of an ad. So what that means is it'll say like, it's a percentage of people that actually took an action, right? So if 1,000 people saw the video and 4 people liked it versus 1,000 people saw it and 110 people liked it, you know which content won. Yeah. And you can do that for $10.
Yeah.
right?
And that'll make you confident when you want to spend a little bit more money on certain content because well, this worked before.
Yeah, and you can get a sense of what you should be making. So the feedback loop of your audience responding to your content is super important to know what works, what doesn't, what people care about. Like maybe the tea thing was a fucking waste, but you didn't know, so you thought content, I'll just do it. But spending a little bit of ads, even if it's like $5 on a post, seeing what that rate of interaction looked like versus the like, oh, now I'm writing things, and now I'm doing this, and now I'm doing that, and getting a sense of what people respond to at a higher rate can tell you what to make more of, and you can learn that for a lot for a fairly low cost. Yeah, is that going still? The computer? Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
What are you doing? Oh, you're just playing with it, fixing something. Anyway, and so we won't go into like the details because it's quite elaborate, but we have a blog post on the website that shows you like literally step by step how to exactly go through the process and like run some ads. And it might not make sense until you're like, it's an actual song that you can get,
or
like
a music video or something,
or something that you can get a response
something
to.
more tangible.
Yeah, just the general like, here's some pretty photography is like, it might help and get a couple followers here and there, but I would say test it when you've got different types of content. But definitely, even if it's $20 a week, $20 a month, doesn't matter what it is, just get it in front of more eyeballs, because the quicker you get the feedback, the quicker you learn what's good, what's bad, what people care, what people don't care about.
And then you can make more strategic choices moving forward.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's very clear. Like the ad results are going to be very clear of like, this many people saw it, this many people took this action or that action, and you can measure them against each other very easily. So it's a great tool. That's how we learn how we should be creating stuff, and that feedback loop is super important, because the better content that you put out that people react to more, the less you have to do, and the quicker it'll grow, if that makes sense. Yeah. Did you have any like thoughts, any questions, anything that you wanted to ask about?
Probably. I was wondering we were talking about all these different types of platforms and how you should be active on pretty much all of them. Twitter is something that I deleted recently because I was like, I'm not using this. Do you think like Twitter is effective, or where do you think it really shines in terms of how it reaches people? Yeah,
Twitter's a really tricky beast.
Yeah.
Twitter requires a lot of posting, a lot of engagement. So a lot of people skip it. I would say this: if you can put out enough, if you can put out like, or plan or get 4 to 6 pieces of content a day and get in the habit of doing it, then I would do it. It's a lot.
That's so much.
That's the real answer. If you've got a lot to say and you're just like happy to fire away quotes and things at will, then it's great. Otherwise, it's an uphill battle with it. There's no, unlike an Instagram or a YouTube, like the discoverability component of it just doesn't exist like that. So it gives you a unique insight and jump into different conversations, and you can gain traction and followership from that. But the discoverability piece, like it would a piece of content on Instagram or YouTube, is not anywhere close. So you have to really be putting out a lot, and you have to want to put out a lot, because it's an arduous process.
I don't think I could do it, man. I just think of like all this like I can't believe like Twitter gets in the news the way it does, these two celebrities are arguing. So I just feel like
one piece of content can blow up that way, but it's the same as anything else. Like the right thing, the right video on YouTube that this person reposts or whatever it is, it can get out there like Twitter can. So no, you gotta like Twitter, you gotta like the medium, and you gotta like really be dedicated to it, because you gotta put out a shitload of content on it to make it work. I don't use it. We don't use it for any of our businesses because it just doesn't fit with the amount, like what we're trying to do with it. But it's great if you've got the resources to put out content on it, but it's tricky.
And you have something to say consistently enough, which I don't.
So I would say doesn't sound like doesn't sound like the right fit.
No. I don't know, what else could we talk about?
What about TikTok? Have you heard of that?
The Kesha song?
No, it's a platform. So
was about to be like on the clock, but the party won't stop.
I don't.
Sorry,
I'm
go
not
on.
sure if I know a Kesha song. That song sounds familiar, but I wouldn't go out of my way to listen to it on purpose.
No,
Um,
you shouldn't.
no. So TikTok. Have you heard of Musical.ly?
I know. Okay, and I've heard of Musical.ly, but I don't know what it is.
So it's a lip sync platform.
Okay.
Don't get too high and mighty yet. Hold on. Just listen. But it's like it's like a platform for creatives.
Okay.
So it's like people will come up with unique spins or unique ways to present the song.
Okay.
So it's like, you lip sync to an existing song, but it's not just you. It's like, people will do interesting things with the way they tilt the camera, or there's like an interesting progression, or they make it funny. So it's like if a certain lyric in a song is a good way to like segue into something visually, it's like people find creative ways to show it or do it. But depending on the audience that you're going after, age-wise, it can be a really great platform, like while you're doing other stuff, to have content. Like a lot of big artists are moving towards it now because it's like, how do I get the younger generation of people? How do I
and they're using it.
eyeballs. So a lot of people their music, or now it's called TikTok, but on that platform they'll be creating stuff, and the only outbound link is to their Instagram. So you're trying to filter people off of it into Instagram. But if you have that kind of like quirky, bubbly, I could like be fucking around on camera, and it is creative. Like go on and watch 2 hours worth. Just some time. Just go on and watch 2 hours. Just scroll from video to video to video. Go watch
how people are using it.
Go watch 2 straight hours of it and understand it. Yeah. Because I think it's a great tie-in back into music. You could use music on there that's relatable to your type of music and siphon attention.
And siphon that fan base.
Yeah.
I like that word, siphon.
Just
Yeah.
take it.
Sounds so malicious.
But it's cool. I think it takes a certain person to be like, because it's very like uppity, it's very quirky, it's very punchy, it's very poppy. And if you're just not the kind of person that could like go and dance around on the camera for a minute, it's like kind of weird. But they're short, they're kind of funny, and I think it would potentially be a great way to like just build some audience and push them out to wherever you want, right? If I want people to follow me on Instagram, you're literally, your thing could be like your name, come follow me on Instagram, and an outbound link to Instagram. So like whatever discoverability you do get, you push them out to Instagram. Instead of trying to really build up the following there. I think it's
important too for young artists like myself. Like I really don't have anything out there yet, so I have no idea what kind of demographic I'm going to tap into. I have a general sense, but until I'm consistently releasing songs and producing content, I really don't know. So I think it's smart in the beginning to do as you're suggesting, and go on Musical.ly and go on Instagram and go on these different platforms that maybe have different age demographics and see who's attracted to you, and then reassess and reevaluate how you want to do things from there.
Absolutely. Cool. Well, I think we touched on a lot. I feel like we did. Cool. So let's leave it there, and then I'd love to kind of like 6 months or a certain amount of months after you've kind of started to play and implement and test, I'd love to chat again and see, have like
a follow up.
Where
is she now? Now she has even more photos on Instagram.
I like greedily. I mean, for 2 parts, it was already kind of fun. Like I like the cadence of our conversations. That was good, but also like it's an interesting. Okay, now I've done this, and this was shit. Your idea for this was good, and I tried this, and this was good, and then you can kind of extrapolate and kind of go. We can go down a path. Kind of like, what's the next step? What's the next stage to some of the stuff? So, we'll follow up and try and do it again.
So fun.
Cool.
Yay.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Good work, team. Cool.
I'm cutting that part.
Cool. Aw.